if you're on the fence about going to this game and you have a reasonable shot of going to a game, someone offers you a face value ticket, someone says, hey, I'm not going because of the rain, you need to go. You need to go. Because, Blake, there was nothing like being in that building back in 2022. That was probably my favorite Tiger Stadium game ever. I thought nothing would top 07 Florida. That one did. So if you have the opportunity to go to an LSU Bama at night, you're never guaranteed this. You don't know what's going to happen to the schedule format 2 years from now. I don't want anyone to think, hey, automatically we're going to play Alabama every year. That is not a protected rivalry. Alabama-Auburn.
It's going to be a protected rivalry.
I would like to think so, but I think there really is only one non-negotiable for like pretty much every team. I would like to think that they would continue to play each other every year. I want them to, but it's not a guarantee. So that's why you need to take it.
They're not going to give LSU Mississippi State and take Bama off. I cannot see it. I legitimately can't see it.
Yeah. So if every team, let's just say the SEC a few years from now decides, hey, every team gets one permanent, right? Well, Alabama
Bama would get Auburn.
Yeah, Bama would get Auburn. So
Texas A&M would get Texas A&M. You'd probably get Arkansas.
No, because Arkansas will keep Missouri. There's a lot of sponsorship dollars now in that game.
Okay, well then LSU will get Ole Miss. Well, it can't get Ole Miss because Ole Miss got Mississippi State.
So it'll be Oklahoma. They'll that's what they're going to do.
No, Oklahoma, they're not getting rid of the Red River rivalry.
I mean, they might if you have to choose.
They're not getting rid of that. They just signed an extension until 2032 where the SEC and ABC is going to be there until 2032. That's not going anywhere.
So what they will probably do is give every team two permanents. And
so they're going to go to the pod system.
Yeah.
They're not going to call it a pod system, but it's going to be a pod system.
What I think will happen. All right, this is my solution to all of it. And I know we just want to talk
about last point
is get rid of the conference championship game and add an extra regular season game for everybody in college football.
It will never happen.
Yeah, but
it's never going to happen.
If the powers that be came to Carter Bryant and said, "Hey, what would you do?" That's exactly what I would do.
There's a better chance of me divulging. Never mind. I'm going to leave that alone. There's just it's just not going to happen. Too much money's involved in that too. But it is what it is. All right.
Yeah.
It's LSU Bama week. Carter, look, I feel like the fan base feels in this one. I'm kind of antsy a little bit because, I mean, look, you're coming off a very bad performance against A&M. And how do you respond to it? Playoffs on the line. Brian Kelly, year 3. Let me ask you the first question because I want to get to your biggest strength and the biggest concern. Let's start off with the biggest concern here. Going into this game, okay, as antsy as I am for this team to go back out there and prove who they are, what is your biggest concern going into this game with LSU versus Bama?
Yeah, so let me start by saying LSU is going into this game playing one bad half versus A&M. And look, you take what you take from the Arkansas game, and then you take what you take from the first half of Texas A&M. You played 3 very, 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 very good quarters of football to where, Blake, if you're watching that game, I think you probably felt the same way and everyone else. You felt like LSU was like for sure a lock to the playoff. Like that's how I felt after watching that first half. We're going to take care of A&M in the second half. And then obviously that changed. So going into this game, if you are wanting one big positive for LSU versus Bama, Bama beat Missouri 34-0, but Missouri didn't have Brady Cook, right? That game would have been at least competitive like all the other Bama games had been prior. LSU had been playing their best football, and Bama had been on a regression. Now, that doesn't mean anything going into this game, especially with 2 bye weeks for both teams going into this game. But LSU had been playing better football than Alabama had been playing, or at least closer to their peak. So, to me, Blake, my biggest concern is Garrett Dellinger not being in this game. You know, you look at a lot of the LSU-Bama games, where they have had issues when losing to Alabama is right up the middle in that interior of the offensive line. And Blake, you know that position better than I have.
Carter, I think they're going to run on them.
So you and I heard you talking about that earlier. You think LSU, with the rushing attack being as putrid as it's been in some of these SEC games, you feel like LSU is going to be able to run the football?
Yeah, because they're 130th in the country in EPA per run call. Okay.
Yep.
And per all of it, they're averaging 4.9 yards per carry.
Yeah. So
here's the real truth. You want to get to the real truth? The real truth is that you're not running the ball enough to say that you're bad.
oh.
That's the real truth in all of this. Because think about this, Carter. They're 62nd in the country in run defense is Bama, right? The thing in that though too. Think about this. You have faced 4 top 10 run defenses: UCLA, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M.
Okay.
This Bama interior defensive line has the propensity of getting moved.
And you think LSU in their current faction up the middle can do that?
No, not all game, but I think as they wear on in the fourth quarter, yeah, I do. Because here's what I think is going to happen. I think Brian Kelly's going to be heavily involved in – I think this is what's going to happen. I think they're going to call a run, and Brian Kelly's going to say, hey, I think we should do X, Y, and Z here. I think that they're going to take some things from Tennessee with Caden Durham because they play man-to-man coverage, and they're going to get in motion and go numbers and let Caden Durham just outrun and eliminate the offensive line. But I do. Because here's the thing. I saw Vandy do it. I saw Vandy push around that Bama front interior. Yeah, I think you can do it because I think you're better than them there.
Interesting.
Carter, think about that.
I'd love to.
I mean, I would too. Now, look, I'm taking a big leap of faith and putting in Paul Mabenga. Here's the thing, though. Paul was fundamentally sound in where his assignments he needed to be. The problem is that physically I think it was like, oh shit, I'm coming in. And I don't think that like mentally he was prepared for how physical it was going to be, if that makes sense. But assignment wise, he was there. If Vandy can do it, look, if we come out of this game and you cannot run in the interior for 4 yards to carry, I'm going to lose my mind because I saw Vandy do it. You better be able to run up in there. And here's another thing too, that I want to make it very well known. Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson, there might be a small crease and that you got to run through some garbage. You better light a motherfucker's head off. You better knock it because, Carter, I see small creases in this all-22 copy. Run through their ass.
I know. Hit it. Hit that thing.
Stop stutter stepping. Carter, I feel like this running back room is doing the cha-cha now, y'all. When they're getting to the hole. That's also what she said. Hit the hole, run them over. If Vandy can do it, you can do it.
Well, the last time this game was played, Josh Williams did that in Tiger Stadium.
I just hit the cha-cha now, y'all.
Yeah, no, turn it out. I love it.
Last time to get funky. This might be the last time that you can get funky in the running game. If you're going to find it, you're going to find it this week. Yeah,
so obviously Josh Williams just ran over Alabama like crazy. He had 3 all-time great truck sticks. One was a block. But, yeah, you would love to see it. I'm just – even though Alabama – like you're right. Like Alabama has given up, rushing yardage. In particular, you're right about the Vanderbilt game. And like I said, it was a dominant game versus Missouri, but that is – they just had no shot. I mean, Missouri.
Here's another thing though. Mizzou stuck around with them when Cook was in there.
Yeah, and look, I'm just not as confident LSU will be able to run the ball on them. Now I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really hope I'm wrong. And I hope
the ball.
So I'm with you, especially if it's Caden Durham the way he's played.
I got to be real with you. You got it. He don't run him in between the tackles. I'm tired of seeing it.
Oh, so you want more Josh and Caleb?
Yep, I do. Because I know Josh is going to put his head down and go for it, I know Caleb in the pistol will put his head down and go for it. Here's the truth. We're putting a lot on this offensive line. I've had 2 weeks to watch this over and over again. He's stutter stepping when it's inside. Outside, Carter, think of his big runs. What have they done? Where has he been? Go ahead.
I mean, some of them have been, up the middle, but a lot of them are in space.
A lot of them are in space. I think you need to get him out in space and let him work. And you need to tell Caleb Jackson, hey, dog, it's time to roll. Carter, I'm tired of pussyfooting around because sometimes it's not going to be pretty. It's never going to be pretty. So I'm not asking you to run for 200 yards. I'm asking you to run for 150. It's what I'm asking for you to do.
Yeah. Honestly, Blake, I do think Josh has actually had a fine season. I think, even in some dirty situations, he's run guys over. And I think this could be – I'm with you. I think this could be a big Josh Williams game.
It needs to be.
And
Carter, here's the thing. UCLA, how much of UCLA have you watched?
Since
since.
Yeah, I watched a good bit of the fourth quarter versus Nebraska. Defensively, they've looked pretty good.
Brother, and against Oregon, they're 11th in the country in run defense, and you ran for over 150 yards on them. They're better than Bama in the interior. I'm going to say it. They are. Like they were giving Oregon issues, massive issues in the run. That's why they're 11th in the country in run defense. I mean, they went up against you. And so, look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just too naive. Maybe I am. And probably you are right. You better run it up and punch them right in their mouth. We do have Ron Skipper in here with a $5 super chat. Says this game will be decided by turnovers. I don't trust Nuss Bus. I'm going to get to your biggest concern or your biggest positive, next. But what do you think of Ron's super chat here?
Yeah, it's been bad with Garrett Nussmeier, but I know you've basically called it out since day one. I have as well, but I've been a little bit more defensive, knowing because there hadn't really been a running game. There's been so much on his shoulder. What I will say is this Alabama team is not as well coached as Saban's Alabama teams. It's not, a mystery. They haven't been terrible. Kane Womack has been a little bit better, even though, he's been called out quite a bit for the second half versus Georgia and what happened versus Vanderbilt. But, I do think LSU might have an advantage in the passing game.
I agree.
I do think this could be the game where Garrett hits some of these deep balls. His deep ball accuracy has got to be better. And Blake,
he's throwing so many too.
Yeah, I mean, take those shots when they are given to you, especially if they're going to play a lot of man coverage. And Blake, a lot of things do, shape up for this to be a really good Kyron game. So I hope that is the case, and I hope Aaron continues his ridiculously high level of play. And then obviously, Mason Taylor's history with Alabama. Not so great last year, but the year obviously in 2022 was an all-timer. So really excited to see Nuss go up against a really good defense. And, these are two of the best teams, Blake, in terms of, you mentioned EPA efficiency, opponent-adjusted EPA efficiency. Alabama is amongst the elites, and LSU is, right on the cusp of the elites.
LSU is 29th in EPA-adjusted run game.
Yeah. No.
So think about that if you're going to bring it up. Here's the thing. If I'm Garrett, I'm not going to Kyron early.
Oh, okay.
Aaron Anderson has 4 less receiving yards than Kyron and has half the targets. His production per percentage is bigger. And here's the thing about the air raid, the way that I see it. If you're going to run it, you got to be efficient in how you're doing it. Meaning, if you're throwing the ball on first down, it's got to be a completion. You got to complete 80% of your passes on first down if you're going to throw it. It's how the air raid works. Meaning, Aaron Anderson is giving you the same amount of more production than Kyron is based off the amount of targets that Kyron gets. Does that make sense?
No. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
So I'm getting number 1. And by the way, Alabama is ready for number 3 to go on a fade route. Carter, look, Chris has put on 15 pounds. throw him the hitch, throw him the dig, let his speed, let them be overly concerned of his speed, and then you got to get 86 involved. So I think the game doesn't come down to Kyron Lacy. I think the game comes down to if you get those other three guys the ball, CJ Daniels, you get those other 3-4 guys the ball early and efficiently. Carter, think about this. You have 50 passing attempts against Texas A&M. Aaron Anderson had 5 targets. That's not – it is abysmal. It is abysmal that happened. The reason why they didn't change that, I have no idea. Carter, they didn't go to him in the fourth quarter. They didn't throw him the ball once in the fourth quarter. That is, I don't want to say fireable, but I mean, come on. Let's get to your biggest strength here. What is your biggest strength for LSU going into this game versus Bama?
Yeah, that Dallas Turner is not on the other sideline. I mean, for 3 straight years, he was an issue. 2022, we were, okay versus him, but 2021, he took over the fourth quarter, and then obviously what happened last year. So this offensive tackle matchup for LSU, I for the most part I do with Will and Emery, and that should make Garrett feel a little bit better about this situation. And then obviously you flip it over to the other side. Blake Milroe has regressed, and look, I did a very public Power Hour SEC piece saying that this is what I thought he was going to be, and then after the Georgia game, I thought I was delirious. I'd gotten so much hate. How can you do such a video? And then, he fell back down to earth once defensive coordinators started to figure out making him go through his reach and just make him being a pure thrower. Now, has he been banged up? Yeah. Many and Alabama circles feel he's been hurt, and that's going to make you feel a little antsy because he will have probably a little bit more juice in those legs for him to go run and make some big time plays. You must keep your rush lane integrity. Blake, I'll be releasing a film study just actually a little bit later when I go live tonight. I get my days mixed up since I'm on here now. I think Tennessee did an awesome job.
Bingo.
And look, Tennessee's got an overall better defense than LSU does.
But the schematics of what they did doesn't change on how you want to do it. Make him step up and then let your interior defensive line get in his face is what they did.
Right. And what I would do, and this is where LSU got themselves in a lot of trouble. Yeah, they didn't do the QB spy thing, which was just stupid, and that made it that much easier. But you have to be very cautious in your rush lane integrity. It is so critical. Tennessee did a really good job of that with their defensive tackles. And sometimes Blake, the LSU DTs, in trying to go make plays, trying to go make havoc. That's what this defense is based off of. You as a DT have to stay patient. You have to mush it up a little bit and not let him get clean runs, not only in terms of actually running, but a clean pocket for him to step up into. And this was a sequence that really stuck out to me. So early in that game versus Tennessee, Jalen Milroe had a play where he was in the pocket and read through a full read and made a really good throw on a dig, and it was completed over the middle. But Tennessee didn't panic. They forced him to keep trying to make that throw. And if you remember how that game ended, they forced Jalen Milroe to make that throw, and he threw the game-ending pick. So make him throw over the middle, make him have to make these difficult cross-field, cross-hash throws where mechanically he's not really all that great. And if you do that, you should be in a better spot than where you were last year, because even though Ryan Williams is there and he's better than Isaiah Bond's not walking through that door. Amari Nyblack was a good tight end for them, so not walking through that door.
If you're physical with Williams, he breaks. He breaks. If you're physical with him, like I saw that Tennessee game, brother, he wanted nothing. He was running routes half speed. He got broken. They were lighting him up, and he got broken. So if you can be physical with him, he's 17. And he's going to learn better. But, I mean, I'm telling you, they were lighting him up, and it was a big issue. Milroe goes to him over the middle in the second quarter, and he gets popped. Brother, he runs the same route like 7 plays later, and Milroe misses him, and he's like, they're coming off to the sideline. He's like, what are you doing? Like, you got to run.
And obviously, Alabama will be stupid to not do some zone read stuff. So when you see it, just do your job.
Right.
Just do your job. That's all. That's what the zone read preys on. That you overcommit, get out of your gap. That's just basically any read variant play. The Darren McFadden Wildcat all the way to the zone read now. They're looking to make one cut and gone. And you've got to just carry out your assignment. And then if it gets second and long, third and long, you want to get crazy and try and make a spectacular play, go for it. But on the zone reads, if you see that, go through your reads as a defense, which is basically your job, and then go make a play.
One thing that does concern me, if we're talking about Milroe running and him getting healthier during a bye week, he's already tied his rushing TD total from last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Carter, most of them are coming in the red zone.
Yeah, he's been good. Yeah.
He's been very good, and they've been getting a hat on a hat and him running in the red zone. So when you get inside the 20s, you better expect him to run the football. Like, I'm gonna be a little real with you. If I'm Braden Swinson, I'm making him give the ball off. On these reads, I'm making him give the ball because I can live with Justin Haynes, okay? But what I can't live with is you knowing that he's going to pull it, and even when he gives it, you got to go hit him. He's a free player there. There's no protection of him once he gives that ball off. Zero, because he's in a zone read. Brother, you got to light him up. I'm telling Braden Swinson, hey, man, you got a 982 on NCAA 25. You better go earn it. Time to go earn it.
Oh, man. Stadium.
He did, by the way, he's the best pass rusher in the game right now.
Good. Stadium pulse all the way up.
All the way up. All the way up. All right.
No, I one more thing on that.
Okay.
If you want to get motivated for red zone stop, just go watch that Michigan play on repeat. That is one of my favorite defended plays of all time. Michigan just folding J.C. Latham into. I mean, I'll never forget that Rose Bowl play. One thing that I would very much caution LSU against, and this has been a problem, which is guarding the running back throw out of the backfield.
Yep.
Milroe loves throwing to the running back out of the backfield on mesh rails, on just little outs. And the reason why he likes it is because it's easy. Okay. It's something that's very easy. Now, normally mobile quarterbacks don't throw to the running backs out of the backfield all too much. But this is a little bit different here with Milroe because they try and scheme a lot of easy throws to get them in a rhythm, get the defense going from left to right. And Blake, you've seen it this year. LSU's had some issues with that. So you must be ready for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if LSU runs a lot of cover 2 this week.
Okay. Let's see it.
I think they're going to try to force him to make those throws, those fade route throws on the boundary. And if you do it, all right, we'll stop calling it. The thing with Tampa too in these run games, and to your point about the pass game, I just wouldn't be surprised if you don't see some different looks defensively. I think that they're going to throw some different things at Bama this week. They're gonna make look, man. They're gonna throw different things at him. I think you're gonna see cover 2, and you'll be like, "What?" LSU hasn't run cover 2 probably ever. I can't remember the last time they've run cover 2. But here's the thing that I would say: if you pop on that Tennessee film, they showed man free, okay, and they ran cover 2 over and over and over again. Who was the number 3? Who's the DB at Tennessee? Number 3.
I wish he had the big pick on Ryan Williams in the red zone. Yeah,
it's cover 2. It's legitimately cover 2. That's why Milroe gets baited and the pick goes, because you have a DB that's coming back to the receiver in a cover 2. What they did was, I think this is what I think Tennessee did. To your point, they like throwing the ball to the running backs out of the backfield, and they think they put their corners in space that they could take care of that. The problem with LSU running is that your safety plays got to be on point, and I don't know if I trust Sage Ryan on Ryan Williams. That's the only downfall in that.
Yeah, that don't give me nightmares tonight.
Well, I mean, I think they're going to try it just to see what happens, especially on early downs. All right, last thing here. Who wins the football game and why?
I've actually not given my prediction yet. Look, I've seen Alabama. Are they, to me, a top 3 team in the SEC? No. And this is probably the first time in forever LSU has played this game, and I can comfortably say that. I picked the under on their win total, and before the season began, Blake, I picked LSU to win this game. Coming off a bye at home, I honestly felt there were some things LSU has on this team that will give Bama fits. And one thing Bama's always been able to do, going back to the Saban regime, and some here with the Womack. Look, Malachi Moore is a great safety number 3. I know a lot of people, pound him for the mouthpiece throw at the end of Vanderbilt, but he's been damn good for them. Jahad
he
Campbell
brought it back against Tennessee.
Jahad Campbell. I mean, they've got dudes, right? It's one of those things, though, where LSU's got the dudes that can beat their dudes. And if you do versus Alabama, you always have a shot to get it done. Blake, we didn't talk special teams. Special teams is going to be really big. And
Cole Adams is out. Their punt return. That's why another thing why turnovers is a massive thing. You got to punt. Make them field it. Play field position. These things always work, too. Cole Adams being out is a big deal for Bama. And
you mentioned Kendrick Law. One kind of weird thing is he is a really, really good blocker on the perimeter. I forget their receivers coach name has gotten a lot of love this year for some of his quotes or whatever. I think it's Coach Shepard or something like that. He's been really good, coaching those guys up. But one thing I will say, and Kalen DeBoer is not going to feel pressure. I mean, the guy's coaching a national championship game. It is a little bit different, your first night game in Death Valley. So knowing that this is a playoff game, there's a lot of pressure on both these coaches to go out there and win it. I could see some errors from both of them. And look, when LSU won this game in 2022, Nick Saban made quite a few coaching errors. I mean, actually, he made a lot of uncharacteristic ones. And last year, obviously, what decided the game between LSU and Alabama was not change it to a QB spot. That was the number one reason why that game was decided, that Milroe was able to just run unabated and they were able to score every time because of it. So normally it's something like just very simple like that could decide it. So coaching between the headsets, say, no, this is the biggest game. Game day is going to be there. Lord Saban's going to be on the sideline. So it's going to be something to see.
Last one. Channing with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, thanks, y'all. If it's wet, does that take Death Valley advantage away? Well, the storm says that it's not even going to make landfall until Sunday around noon.
No.
We have Josh Eachus coming on from WBRC, the lead meteorologist. He's going to be on our show tomorrow. We're doing a segment with him. So I think from what I understand, the current moment is he feels pretty significant that this is not going to impact the game at all.
I like the name Channing Brinholtz. That sounds like distinguished. It sounds like he would be good at chess or something like that.
It sounds like that he just drank his second scotch at his local country club.
Yes. We could light up a cigar and then go play some croquet or something.
Cricket.
Yes, exactly. Huh?
All right, Carter the Power Bryant. Always enjoy it. Where do you think LSU is in the poll tonight?
Oh, that's a good, juicy.
They're going to be 13th.
13th. Huh? Here's one thing I will say. Remember last week or the last time you were on, what was the percentage chance LSU has to win out their remaining schedule?
Yeah, I said 15%.
Yeah. So I would say around there. I was about like at 10%, but the Lagway injury has to change that some. I looked up ESPN.
About that, Billy said that it wasn't as bad as they thought.
Okay, DJ. I've not looked at anything Florida.
Yeah, they don't know if he's going to be out this week or not.
Okay, so it goes back down.
It'd be a miracle from manna from heaven if he plays. But to your point, about what you're going to say.
Yeah, so ESPN has LSU as a 4% chance to win out the rest of their schedule.
Bet you that jumps up to 30s in the 30s if they beat Bama.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Carter the Power Bryant. We'll see you, buddy.
See ya.